Hello and welcome to my quick tutorial on how to set up your A-10A controls. So the first thing you want to do is go to Options and then click on the Controls tab. Select the A-10A from the Aircraft drop-down menu, and then the main thing you want to do is go to the Category menu, click on Access Commands, find the joystick control for your pitch, your roll, and your rudder. Select the pitch for your joystick controller. Should say Joy Y by default. Go to Axis Tune, and normally it's set like this, or I'm sorry, normally it's set to 0 curvature and saturation Y and saturation X is 100. The problem with this is especially with the A-10A aircraft is that you you make a little bit of controlled deflection, and it can damn near knock you out in your cockpit. I mean, the aircraft almost snaps in half because of the instantaneous dramatic control input. So we got to make it less linear. So I recommend for your pitch controls. Unfortunately, you won't have full deflection here, but I would recommend saturation Y to 60 and curvature to about 20, and then that takes care of that. So, and then you can test your control. When I pull back on the stick, it should like this, should look like that. When I push forward on the stick, it should do that. So once you have that done, just click OK, and then you're going to do the same thing for your roll. That's also something uh, that needs it. Another thing about making these controls more fine-tuned is that it'll allow you to more easily aim your gun. It's very difficult to aim the gun with a default axis tune, linear axis tune. So again, saturation X 100, Y 60, curvature about 20. That's decent, somewhere around there. And then for your rudder, same thing, axis tune. I have it set up to where I can do full deflection with my rudder because sometimes you really need it. Uh, so I set the saturation X and Y to 100, curvature to 40, and this allows me to do fine control for the most part. But if I really need to, I can see here's a little left, a little well, little right, and then full deflection is within reach. So takes care of that. Um, you want to make sure your thrust is working properly, at least. For if you're really using a Logitech Extreme 3D like I am, it should say Joy Slider 1 here. Uh, if it doesn't, then for instance, I'll clear this. You'll click that spot for it, double click, and then when this add assignment panel comes up, you simply move your joy slider, your throttle slider, and it should detect it automatically. Once it comes up and says joy slider 1, click OK, and then you can axis tune that, and here's down and then up, all the way back and all the way forward on your throttle, and this is center roughly. So that make sure that's good to go. And then once you're done configuring your controls, be sure to hit OK and not cancel. I'm pretty sure this is going to make sure it saves what you've changed. Alright, so then that should be it for the control setup. Uh, Now you can map a bunch of buttons and stuff on the Logitech, but really what I find is that it's better just to learn the default controls with the really simple A-10A. If you start getting into the more advanced high def models like the A-10C and other such aircraft modules, or if you you get used to the basic controls or the default controls for the A-10A, and you see changes that you want to make, it's better for you to go ahead and add them in as you see fit rather than learn my own chosen particular way to configure the joystick, because honestly it's so simple, and the default setup is good that I use the default setup for it. But anyway, so I'll continue in the next video. I'll show you how to go on the mission editor and set up a simple mission and how to use this thing. So alright, see you next time. Hello and welcome to part 2 of my A-10A basic tutorial. This time we're going to learn how to set up a quick mission in the mission editor for training purposes. So we'll go and click on mission editor, of course. Once you're in the mission editor, you use the right mouse button, press it and hold it, and drag the mouse around to pan the map. And then use your middle or your mouse wheel to zoom in and out on the map. We're going to focus our attention on Kobuleti because that's where we want to take off from, because there's a nice little handy target area right here. It's just a little old small runway. X marks the spot, right? So we're gonna the first thing we'll do is we'll place our aircraft. So we'll go over here to the object list, left click, add or modify airplane group, left click just on or around Kobuleti, and then this panel will come up once you've placed it. Make sure the appropriate country is selected, the appropriate type of aircraft is selected, in our case A-10A, and then go over here and make sure that you select player for the skill. If you don't, you'll start off the mission and AI will be in control of the aircraft, and he'll just, unless you've given him instructions, I don't think he'll even do anything. Now, once you have all that done, at this point, if we were to fly the mission, we'd start off 2,000 meters mean sea level, above mean sea level, doing 500 kilometers an hour, which is actually kind of fast for the A-10A. We want to do, for training purposes, we're going to start off from the runway, and notice if you didn't have it centered already before, I think that yeah, see, it automatically place you on the runway. You don't have to worry about your placement here. It automatically does it once you select takeoff from the runway. If you're place your aircraft symbol anywhere within here, it centers it for the takeoff. You won't literally be right here. You'll be, on one end of the runway. I think it's this end here that you start off from. But anyway, so you're placed there. So then the next thing would be to go to the payload tab, and we'll select task, nothing, and then we'll remake this so you can see. We'll make a custom payload here. Click new. Call this A-10A custom 1. Okay. Now I go over here to these pylons and I right click, and I'm going to go ahead and follow the example that they give and just put 2 AIM-9M all aspect missiles. The P missiles are rear aspect, and AIM-9Ms are all aspect. I think they're both infrared seekers though. I think the M must have some kind of a better, I don't know, tracking system or more advanced tracking system or something. I don't know that much about it. But then you're gonna place on this pylon, we'll put a ECM pod over there. Now notice they have two different pods here. I think in the game these are both effectively the same as far as how the game or how the simulation treats the jamming properties, but I typically just go with that one. So then we'll just make a sampler, kind of a weapon set here. We'll right click there, 7 rockets, high explosive HE, 7 rockets. Now there's a bug with the game. The default setups have these 19 shot launchers. However, when you go here, it'll only let you have 7-shot launchers. So that's a glitch with the game. We'll go ahead and we'll select AGM65D. You can get them in singles. When you see an asterisk like this for any weapon, that means that it's grouped in a 2 or a 3, and you'll see that with some of the missiles and bombs. So we'll go ahead and go with a single AGM65D. Over here we'll go with a single AGM65K. Now you might be wondering what's the difference between all these. How do I know? I'll show you that in a second. So the C-A-T-M, I'm pretty sure that's a training version. They actually have a bunch of training munitions so you can simulate training. And I think these are all training missiles. I don't even think they come off the rail. I'm not sure exactly what the differences are between all these, but we'll go ahead and put an AGM65K over here. So okay, so now I'll show you how to sort of demystify the peculiarities and sort of distinguish between all these munitions. Alright, so what you'll do is from right here, if you have a question about it, you go over here to MISC, go to Encyclopedia, go to the Weapons tab, and then here they have an alphanumeric list. We'll go and look at the AGM65K. It's listed as a short-range TV-guided air-to-surface missile. TV-guided, that means that it's pretty much just, it's actually just black and white TV. So it's not going to be probably effective at night, I don't think. It's got an effective range of 5 to 10 kilometers. Alright, and it weighs 210 kilograms. And it has a TNT warhead equivalent, 57 kilograms. Alright, so let's go look at the AGM-65D and see what the difference is. This one is a medium range infrared air-to-surface missile. It has an effective range of 8 to 16 kilometers, and it weighs 220 kilograms with the same weight of warhead. So that's pretty much how you can go through and learn about all your munitions here. So we'll close that, reselect this guy by left clicking the icon, and we'll go back to the payload tab, and we'll complete our loadout here. So we've got our stuff there. Let's put a batch of a group of 3 Mark 82 high drag bombs. Do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll put a standard cluster bomb and then a sensor fused weapon cluster munition. And that's it for that. The aircraft's all set up. It's on the runway. It's ready to go. It's got a custom payload on it. Oh yeah, one more thing. Over here you can adjust your starting fuel, and it dynamically shows your fuel weight and your total weight and all that jazz. So we're at 99% of capacity right here. So your gun, there's combat mix, which is HEI mixed in with depleted uranium tipped armor piercing rounds, and then you have high explosive incendiary. Here you have your paint schemes. And that's pretty much it for the setup. So then we'll X this out, X that out. Alright, that your aircraft is set up. Now set up some targets. We'll go down here to our little target area, select the add or modify a ground vehicle group, the tank symbol. Go over here, make sure you go to country and select insurgents. Select unarmed for the category. The type, we'll do URL 375. Once you have that, go here and left click, and it places that truck, and you can adjust the initial heading like so. But once we've placed them and we want more, you can do this a number of different ways. You can go 2 units, 3 units in the same group, and so on. However, what we'll do is we'll hit, once we have this guy selected and everything, by default he's selected. You hit left control C, and it's yellow if it's selected, by the way. Left control C to copy that unit, and then put your mouse where you want the next one and hold or press left control V, paste. Left control V to paste, and so on. Paste a bunch of trucks out here. Now, if you want to see how far all this stuff is, just a little tip here. Click on the ruler tool and left click with your mouse and drag, and it gives you the direction from the start to the end and the distance in meters. So we'll turn the ruler tool back off. But anyway, I got a bunch of trucks set up. Let's go ahead and set up some infantry. Left click, left control C, left control V, 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 some infantry. Alright, now all we gotta do is save our mission. So let's X out, file, save as, we'll call it A-10A tutorial1.ms. Okay, there you go. And in the next video I'll show you how to fly this mission. Hello and welcome to the third tutorial, basic tutorial on the A-10A, and in this one I'm going to show you how to fly the just the basics of how to fly the aircraft with the default controls, with the slight modification to the axis tuning that I showed you in the first video, and we're going to fly in the mission that we made in the mission editor in the second video. So if we want to fly the mission that we made in the mission editor, we go once again to the mission editor, and then here I'm just I'm clearing that out just so I can show you how to get to it from scratch. So if you come in here with any given situation, the last one you're working on should pop up unless you've exited the game client or whatever. But anyway, so you'll go to File, Open, you select your mission from the list. In our case, it's we named it A-10A tutorial1.ms. Click OK, and then there's all your baddies that we set up, and then here's you over here. Now you can do all kinds of crazy, adding in waypoints and stuff, and have your use your navigation system and everything, and have all that work. But we're not going to worry about. We're just going to do VFR, or just do visual down here, the target area, and all that stuff for now. So, alright, so once you have your mission opened up or loaded or whatever, you're going to go over here and to this thing right here and click Fly Mission, that blue circle with the check in it. Now here it gives your mission overview, the start time, the allies, nations, the enemy's nations, um, how much fuel, what weapons you have, so on and so forth. You can go in and actually customize your situation objective. If you get into the more advanced stuff, it shows all the threats. Here we have everything just set up really simple. So now if you go to Mission Planner, you can actually go in and tweak stuff, like I think you can mess with your waypoints and radio stuff, and more advanced things like maybe even tune your payload and stuff like that. But we'll just go to fly. Okay, so once we've loaded into the mission, we of course press pause break to start from that initial pause screen that we had. Um, I had to lower the resolution of the video capture to improve my frame rate. Otherwise, I get a lot of skipping and stuff. So sorry for that. But hopefully, you'll still be able to see most of what's going on here. First thing right off, I should tell you about view controls here. Now, if you have a numpad like me, by default, numpad 5 will center your view. So if I'm looking off to the side like this or something with numpad 4, I can press 5, that centers me. And if I press numpad enter, that gives me sort of a default zoom. Numpad / zooms out, numpad asterisk zooms in. So again, we'll hit numpad 5 and enter for a default zoom. We'll actually zoom out a little bit with numpad / and use numpad 2 or down arrow to along with the numpad 8 to adjust our view to where we can see. Oops. Now I can mouse look. That's another control. Lift Alt C. Okay, if I press it, I've got this. If I hit Lift Alt C again, it toggles back to the mouse look mode. So, and then the mouse wheel zooms. Sorry, A-10Ms and whatnots. AGM65D, AGM65K. Okay, so some things in the all your this is what they call a This is what they call a mid-fidelity model. So all your dials and indicators work to show you your flight telemetry. However, none of these switches and stuff they're not context sensitive with the mouse, and they can't you can't flip them or anything with the A-10C. But some important indicators to understand here is here's your artificial horizon. Simple enough. Your vertical speed indicator. Uh, if your VSI needle is right here on 0.5, that means you're climbing at 500 feet a minute, and so on and so forth. And then if it's pointing down at 0.5 here, that means you're descending at 500 feet a minute. Altimeter, horizontal situation indicator, HSI. This comes in handy for navigating waypoints and such. Here you have information for your exhaust gas temperature for both engines. That's your fan speed. There's your let's see what this says here. Percent RPMs on your engine, your fuel flow. You know, for a basic mission, this isn't that important. If you start getting hardcore, you'll probably pay more attention to this kind of things. But anyhow, here's your airspeed indicator. This is important right here, your flaps. Sometimes you'll be flying around and you'll not realize, you'll forget that your flaps are all the way down or some shit. So keep an eye on that. Alright, now notice if I press the F button, okay, I just lowered my flaps to 10 degrees. I press it again, F drops to 20. And then if I press F again, it returns all the way back. Now there's left control F and left shift F to fine tune, you know, like which way and how much you go with the flap detents. But I just recommend keeping an eye on that or go into external view. Now, external view, that's something I should go over as well. If I press the F2 button, it goes to external view, and I can mouse wheel to zoom. Move my mouse around to look at this thing. Press F1 again. F1 goes back to the cockpit. And External view is handy for double checking, you know, the weapons configuration, make sure you got everything on there the way you want it. Admiring the aircraft, which is always an important part of simming in my opinion. Yeah, and just making sure your flaps are in the correct position, so on and so forth. With your gear up, I often go to external view. So that's pretty much the basics of the cockpit, some of the cockpit things in the external view. Now, I'll go ahead and make a quick break in the video so that I can upload it in smaller chunks, and I'll continue in a moment. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take off. So go ahead and center our view, get that tweaked just right. See my flaps, below my flaps to, we'll put it at 10 degrees. And then this right here, this little cross is where the airframe is pointed currently. This little circle with 3 lines is the flight path marker. That's where the aircraft is literally going. This right here is your speed, airspeed in knots. I think that's true airspeed. And then this right here is your artificial horizon, right there, those long lines. The square is a nav marker. We only have one starting nav marker. Remember in the map editor when we were on the center of the runway, that's what that is. That's the ground zero waypoint that we had. And you'll see us pass that as we take off. Here, this is your anywhere below, I think, 1,500 feet. I'm pretty sure this is in feet. Your radar altimeter is going to be active. So here you can see we're, you know, almost right on the ground for the radar altimeter. Practically zero, and that'll go away after you get above 1,500 feet, but that's a good handy thing for low altitude or landing. So anyway, yeah, and then here's your heading, and this right here says waypoint 1, it's 0.6, I think that's nautical miles, I'm not sure, it might be kilometers. I'm not sure what all, this is the current time of course, not sure what all that is. But anyway, this is 5 degrees below horizontal, the artificial horizon, 10 degrees below. Here's your magnetic compass. Here's your how many G's you're pulling. And yeah, so that's it. So go ahead here, punch the throttle. Oh, okay, that's the this right here, that's how long it's going to take to get there based on how fast you're going or something like that, I think. Alright, now I was messing with the mouse, so I let this thing get off course. But as you can see here, I'm using my rudder to steer the aircraft, and notice my speed is about 120 right now, 130, and I'm twisting my stick for rudder to keep it straight. 150 is about where you want to start rotating back, and you're going to set your airframe to about 10 degrees. Go ahead and raise your gear. You're still at full throttle. 200 radar altitude. Okay, so that's our actual mean sea level altitude. This is our actual radar altitude, which is indicated also right here. So this is our flight path marker, and this is this guy right here. That's I think that's supposed to line up as far as hitting. Or no, I think that has something to do with the, I'm sorry, that has to do something with the waypoint. Oh, and my flaps. As you can see, oh, I raised my flaps. Okay. I don't don't even know if I remember to put my flaps down through all that. Okay, so going along here full throttle, and notice I'm not even pulling up on it. I've got the throttle punched and it's climbing. So we'll allow it to continue to climb till we get to, we'll say about 3,500 feet. And then we're going to ease back on the throttle. So let's look and see here. Yeah, it's probably good right there. We'll go ahead and drop this guy down to about 80% engine RPM. We'll see where that puts us on airspeed. Now notice, without moving the stick, the nose starts coming back down. Okay, our speed is 192. We're dropping too quick. I'm gonna ease it back up to 87. And watch our airspeed up there, 189, 190, 191. Okay, we'll drop it back to 85 on the RPMs there. Okay, maybe a little bit more than that. We'll go 86, 87-ish, somewhere on that. Alright, so we've kind of stabilized our airspeed. Alright, now notice I'm keeping my flight path marker close to the horizon here. And now I'm gonna just initiate a bank here. And as I'm banking, rolling, I can pull up to keep that on. And if it starts getting too high, I just push down on the stick. You want to try to, ideally, you want to try to maintain control of your vertical speed during a turn. Now we've taken off on the runway and we're heading back. We're just turning around and heading back that direction because we know back towards the coast, a little ways away from the runway that we took off from, our target area is over there, and it's not real easy to see it right now, but I've done this a lot of times, so I know about where it is. Okay, so well, let's do a little zoom action here so you can see what's going on here. Okay, that over there, that's the target area. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. And this is where we took off from. So we took off, we gained altitude, and then we just did a big 180 and ended up heading back this way. Alright, so we're up in there, gears up, our flaps are up and everything, we're in the right configuration. You're going to press the number 7 on your regular keyboard, and the first munition pops up. You press the D as in Delta button to cycle through your weapons. There's our Mavericks, our Mark 82 high drag bombs, our that's our AGM-65D. Notice it's blacked out because it's looking up in the sky right now. Press D again. Here's our standard cluster bomb. D, rockets. That's showing actual point of impact down there, and the range, the slant range to that point of impact is 4.8. I think that's in kilometers. D again. Here's our centrifuged weapon. This is the type of the weapon and then the quantity. Now on the Mavericks, I don't think it actually shows the type. See, it just shows you've got one of those. So we're going to go ahead and use our TV guided Maverick first. Now, I think that this right here, this little circle thing up here, that's where your gun is pointed. This right here is your gun's point of impact. It's X because it's saying it's like way beyond determining the range of where it's going to hit for the most part. And X will go away when it's able to compute that. Oh, I stand corrected. That's not your gun cross. That's where the sensor for the missile is pointing currently. So if I press the period key, the period moves it down, and I'm gonna have to actually, I'm running out of time here, closing on the target, so I'm gonna have to turn in a big loop and explain all this. So the slewing the target designator, there you can see the TV display in the bottom right of the cockpit showing everything that the Maverick Seeker head. That's the feed from the Maverick Seeker head. And if you'll notice up there, it says 6.3, 4.6 on the Seeker head and the HUD. That's the distance, the slant range to where it's aiming at. So from there, you can kind of get an idea of what you're, whether or not you're in your effective range. For this missile, it's 5 to 10. So I could hit something all the way out there if I wanted to. That's only 8.5. Let's find something at 10. All the way out there, I could launch this thing and hit something. It's a pretty good standoff range, and that's not even the better one. Okay, so the target designated controls. Now, I'm used to this. I'm not sure how easy it would be for somebody new to the game, but I use my left hand on the keyboard a lot, and I can press the period key to go down, the comma to go left, question mark or forward slash to go right, and semicolon and colon to go up. And the location of these keys works out pretty good for me. Now, joy button 3 or enter key will do what you call ground stabilize or lock. Boom. So I press enter, it ground stabilizes or locks, and the way this missile works, almost every version of it, is as soon as you get to something that looks like a target, like a building or a tank, it automatically snaps to it, and you have to slew it off to get it to not look at it anymore. So we go around, and then you can press the plus key on the keyboard to zoom in, narrow field of view, minus to zoom back out. So, and then right control I centers it if you wish to center it. Or I'm sorry, first you have to hit backspace to unlock, then right control I to center, or you'll notice it goes back up here on the HUD, or it basically, that's where it's looking when it's perfectly straight in line with the missile. So let's fire a missile at something here. Turn back around. We're up at 5,000 feet. We haven't messed with our throttle, and we're doing 213. It's doing pretty good on airspeed. I'm gonna go ahead and slew this down. And I'm actually going to use my autopilot here, just for training purposes. I'm going to press the A button, and the default mode is altitude and heading. It's going to hold my current altitude and heading. Then I'm going to zoom in with the plus key, use the slew controls, just find one of these trucks, press enter, ground stabilize near it, and as I slew over that truck, it should automatically snap to him. There it goes. Sometimes you gotta wait a bit. And then I'm gonna press the weapon release button right now. I think That's joy button 2. But anyway, we'll go ahead and switch to our other guided missile to observe the impact if I can get there in time. So we've locked onto him with our other missile so that we can see, we can actually watch this other missile impact. Splash. Okay, we locked on to the one next to him, but that's fine. So that takes care of one of the trucks, and as you can see, they're starting to scatter a little bit. The trucks are taking evasive maneuvers. Okay, and then the AGM-65D pretty much works the same way, except it's longer range and it's infrared. So I'm going to press right control I to center that, and I'm actually going to use I'm going to leave this missile on the rail and use it as a sighting device for like my cannon and rockets and things like that, or be able to locate the enemy ground targets more easily. So I'm going to press the A button to let go of my autopilot. Now, I haven't found an indicator or anything to show whether autopilot's turned on or off. This came on, but when you deactivate autopilot by pressing the A button, which, by the way, if I didn't tell you already, pressing the A button turns on your autopilot. If you hit it A again, it doesn't necessarily turn off. So, or it doesn't indicate that it's gone away. You just have to notice your aircraft suddenly lurch to one side once you disengage your autopilot. That's the only way you know. Again, this is a mid-fidelity model, A-10 model. So, in our next pass, we will use, go ahead and press the D button, and we'll use cluster bombs, standard cluster bombs. D, rockets, D, centrifuge cluster bombs, D, high drag bombs, Mark 82 airs, D, there's our seeker. Let's get our seeker ready here. Nah, we don't need our seeker because we're just gonna be flying right over anyway. We're not gonna be able to see much of the action. Okay, our airspeed's getting a little high, but you know what? That's good. We want it to be a little higher so that our it'll be a little bit easier to predict the point of impact of the bomb. Okay, so that vertical dotted line is basically like your bomb fall line. Sort of just line that up on the target. And the way this works is it's below the actual predicted point of impact, or continuously computed point of impact point, CCIP, is below the HUD right now because we're not close enough to the target. I'm going to turn my throttle down, go into a dive, and I'm going to wait until I get close enough to the point of impact where it actually shows up on the HUD, and then I'm going to press the mouse or the joystick button to release. Okay, there's a circle, and you hear a noise, that's the release. Press F2 as I pull away. See the little puff back there? That was the cluster bomb opening up, and as you can see, it landed right on the two trucks we were aiming for. Sorry for the lag there, that kind of made it, and our airspeed is dropping. We're going to punch it back up. Now, if there were threats in the area, I would press the delete button, and that releases 2 flares. Delete, delete, and insert releases chaff. You release flares. Flares if you're getting shot at by heat-seeking missiles, and chaff if you're trying to avoid radar missiles or tracking systems. So let's take a look once again at our bomb indicator. I'm just gonna go towards the ground here. Alright. Had to put a break in the video. There's a problem with the CBU-97 sensor fuse weapon with this particular aircraft model in the game. Maybe a glitch, maybe that they just didn't implement it for the avionics on the simplified model. It's kind of a sophisticated weapon as far as setting the deployment height and all that stuff, which so you may not be able to do that with this flight model. However, I'll go ahead and show you how to use the ripple system. So I'm going to press A to hold my altitude and heading. I'm going to slow down time so I'll have more time to set this up on the way to the target. Notice down here you have your release mode. Right now it's in pairs, so if I were to press the bomb release button, let's switch to bombs here. D, mark 82 errors, 6 of them. Alright, so if we switch to bombs, if we were to press our weapon release button, 2 would come off simultaneously. If we press left shift space, we can cycle through ripple single, ripple pairs, or single. If you want to just drop one at a time, but we're going to drop a series of them, all 6 of them, one at a time in a certain interval. Now your ripple interval, or your ripple quantity, we're going to set that to 6. Left control space changes that. So we'll go to 6 to turn loose all 6 bombs. Let's double check and make sure we aren't overflying the target yet. Slow down time even more. Alright, and then press the V button, as in Victor, to change the ripple interval. We're going to try to go for half a second, so I think this is milliseconds times 10. So 5 milliseconds times 10 would only be 50 milliseconds, or 5 microseconds, which would be 5/100ths of a second, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll keep pressing this. We'll go for 50 milliseconds times 10 should be 500 microseconds. That should be a half a second between each bomb as we're pressing and holding the bomb release. Now, here you can see Station 3 is empty. There's 1 munition here and here and so on and so forth. These are just your pylon indicators. I think these are ready to go. That's what's going to come loose first, I believe. I think these are pylon indicators as well. Okay, so now that we have our quantity, our release mode, and our interval set, now we're ready to rock and roll. So I'm gonna press left shift Z to return to normal time mode, and we're gonna increase our airspeed slightly and get down low, because that's for the Mark 82 high drag bombs. The main purpose of them is to be able to deploy them at low altitude and have them actually detonate once you're well beyond them, once you've extended out beyond them quite a ways, whereas a regular low drag bombs, general purpose bombs, will almost stay right underneath you until they hit, which is not good if you're down to like 600 feet. And there's other little useful things. Now notice my gun cross up there. I can actually use my guns right here if I wanted to. So we'll go ahead and give them an appetizer with our guns here. get to know you there, and then come in and release our bombs here in just a second. As soon as we see,
Altitude,
there's our
altitude.
pipper. Okay, so we'll press and hold, and we'll press F4. So pressing F4 is a good way to sort of to look back and and see your munitions hit or do a battle damage assessment of BDA. Alright, so that's the basics on how to use your bombs. Let's go over how to use your rockets. So we'll press the D button until we get to our rockets. There we are. And it's giving me a slant range to the point of impact right now of 4.4 nautical miles there, I believe. Again, I'm not sure if that's in nautical miles or kilometers, but I think it's nautical miles. So we'll speed up time here. Left control Z twice. Drop our throttle way down. Oh, we'll turn on our speed brakes. And then as soon as this thing gets within 2, you'll notice it's within its effective range. We'll go ahead and turn loose all these rockets. Good hits there. We'll go ahead and press C to turn on our cannon. Notice the recoil bringing it up.
Altitude, altitude.
You can actually use that to your advantage to cover multiple targets. Secondary explosions going off. Now there's a technique here that I should show you. Let me accelerate time. Oh, my brakes are still extended. No wonder I'm going slow. Alright. Left control B closes your brakes. Left shift C to slow time back down. Now if I want to try to hold my rounds on target, I've got to push my nose down into the target. So I'll actually... I was actually pushing and holding the nose down there. So again... Now the
Altitude,
video
altitude.
capture is causing it to skip and jump around because it's trying to record all this at the same time, but you get the idea. So you're pressing the nose down like this and then firing. As you can see, if you do those just right, you can they can contradict one another, and it'll help you hold your point of impact consistently on the target. So that's it for that. Let's go do a quick tutorial on how to land. So we'll press C, and then we'll to turn off our cannon pipper there. We'll press 1 to return to the normal HUD mode, and then we'll press punch the throttle, head back home here. Left control Z to accelerate time. Let's find the runway. There it is. Now, just another tip here. I can press escape and go look at what my controls are for different things here. So I go to adjust controls, and all that stuff I showed you with the ripples stuff, quantity and everything, you can go right here to weapons down at the bottom, and there you have it. The ripple quantity select, left control space, the pairs single release submode cycle, left shift space, ripple interval increase, V, and all that stuff is right there. Also, your autopilot controls. Go right to the laced control panel, and there's your autopilot controls. Here you can, it says you can set the mode with left Alt 1, 2, or 3, and then turn that mode that you selected on or off with the A button. EAC, I think that might be emergency aircraft control, like it'll pull up for you if you get too low or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's a good way to go and double check your controls when you're not sure about something, or even change them on the fly as you see fit. So, alright, so I need to get further out from the runway so I can explain what's going on here. So we'll get out here. Slow time back down. Start decreasing our throttle. Try to get on a good glide path. Go ahead and open our air brakes. Watching our airspeed now, it's 205, 200. Now, looking at the runway right here, it looks kind of steep to me, so I'm putting my, as you can see, my flight path marker, I'm putting it down low and dropping my altitude at the same time, dropping my airspeed. I've got my throttle all the way down, and I'm watching my airspeed, and I've got my brakes out. So if I press left Control B, it'll retract my air brakes, and then I'm going to press F twice to fully lower my flaps. So I got my flaps all the way down. Then I'm going to press G as in golf, lower my landing gear. Now, this is just kind of a practice thing as far as knowing where to get for your ideal glide path. There's instrument landing system and all that stuff you can use. I just land by the seat of my pants pretty much. But notice what I'm doing here. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so I've got my flight path marker, and I've still got it below where I want to go, which is touchdown right here, because I'm still trying to get sort of a better approach angle to the runway. So I'm dropping my altitude even more. This right here is where my nose is actually pointing, okay? It's actually at or above the horizon line, and you want that because you don't want to come down. If this is below your horizon line, you're going to hit nose first, or you're going to be going too fast, or your descent rate's going to be too fast, and so on and so forth. So the idea is you want to keep this, you know, from anywhere from 0 to, or maybe a little bit above, like 2 or 3 degrees above your horizon line, all the way up to maybe even 5 degrees, maximum probably 10. But we'll look at the side view. Now, although the aircraft is heading down and to the left, it looks like it's flying straight and level. So we'll unpause. Alright,
Altitude, altitude.
so my airspeed's getting a little too low. I'm going to throttle back up a bit. And I'm just going to throttle back down. I'm going to feather my throttle and try to keep my nose at a consistent point above the horizon there. And just feather my throttle to control my flight path marker to be able to put me on the ground where I want. Okay, I need to throttle up just a tad more. Okay, I'm watching my 110, 100 feet, 90. I'm going to do what they call flare. I'm going to pull up right at the last minute and really slow my descent rate down to where I'm just barely descending. Okay, the nose wheel touched down. Alright, so we're going to extend our air brakes here. And then we're going to press W for wheel brake. Press and hold W. using my rudder to keep this thing straight, or try to. The latency is fucking with me from the video capture software. Alright, so we had a nice successful landing there. Oh, and by the way, if you press E button as an echo, it turns on your ECM. Alright, and then if you want to, you can press left control C, open your cockpit. Just press escape to end the mission. That sums it up. Thanks for watching. That's the tutorial, and I may add more advanced tutorials in the future.